Linking with Robbie. So dude hit me in my DM, right? And I'm just like, all you niggas freak out, and that's just all it is. First off, girl, fuck him. And you are now listening to Linking with Robbie. Today was the day we all been waiting for. So boom, check it, listen. Today the defense basically questioned Cassie, and it went exactly how I predicted it to go. So boom. Defense time, they spent most of their time trying to drill into this message or drill this message into the jury's head. It's very clear that Cassie was in love. She was in love and she did all these things and she had sex and she made all these choices to be there because she loved him and he wanted his approval because she was so broken and damaged. And they're leading it up to the main point that they're trying to make, that she's only doing all of this. The only reason she sued him, the only reason she was doing all this cooperation is because she's a scorned, bitter lover. She's an ex who can't seem to forget the past. That's bullshit. That's fucking bullshit. Sorry, I got too close to the mic. That's bullshit. That is bullshit, but I knew that's what they were going to do. It was so textbook, and I'm so glad prosecution decided to lead the way and control the narrative, in my opinion, because everything they were showing and saying, okay, yeah, y'all are proving that Cassie was in love with this man. No one's denying that. We know that she stuck around because she wanted to get his approval. She wanted to please him. She wanted to make him happy. Yeah. That's what groomers and abusers do. They get you in a position where you feel like you need them to breathe. They do that because it's a controlling tactic. So if I was in a jury, that's what I would be interpreting it as. I'd be like, damn, I feel even more bad for her. I feel even more sympathy because when you hear the stories and you read the text messages, because what the defense kept doing. Let's rewind a little bit. The beginning of the day began with prosecution and the defense going back and forth over text messages that the defense decided to just, want to bring to the table out of nowhere. The defense has been doing this thing where they're holding certain things close to the chest and they're not revealing it until maybe the night before or the morning beforehand, which doesn't give the prosecution enough time to really look at the evidence, see what they're bringing to the table so they don't feel ambushed. What they want to do is try to ambush Cassie. They're trying to ambush the defense, that is. They're trying to ambush her with certain conversations that she may not remember because, it's been so long ago, or she may not know they're bringing to the table. But one thing I can say about my bad bitch, Cassie, she caught it and she played it cool. I don't know what kind of prepping she had, but she played it cool. She kept her composure. From all the updates I was reading through the inner city press, she was pretty much like not unbothered per se, but they weren't getting her to break like they were trying to. They kept bringing up messages where she was the one asking for sex, so she was the one wanting to have the freak off, so she was the one reaching out to Diddy, which was trying to paint the narrative that she wasn't being controlled against her will. At any point she could have left, and every time she left she wanted to come back. That's what they're trying to paint. I'm not sure if everybody's picking up on that in that way. I'm not. I do know there's probably plenty of people that support and believe Diddy should be free. And based off today with the defense performance that he did, left a few people like, yeah, this is just a domestic violence case. She wanted to be there. He's not guilty. That's what a lot of people are coming from today thinking. But they're not actually paying attention to the legalities of it all. Like, I sat there listening to everything and I kept saying, okay, but you're not denouncing any of the trafficking stuff, yeah, you're trying to point out that either Cassie is just as guilty or Cassie is responsible, or pointing out all her loving messages she sent him, or how many times she was devoting herself to him, and painting that picture that she was just someone obsessed and in love with a man who played her. And I get that's what they're aiming for, but there's certain things that you just can't denounce. Like, why y'all not questioning about the freak offs themselves? You're only questioning about her wanting to be in the freak offs. She was together with this man for 10 years. Clearly there was a part of her that wanted to please him and make him happy. So I see what the defense is doing, and I just hate that I saw it a mile away, which is why I understood why prosecution was already hitting down the head. And for everybody that's saying, like, why haven't they gotten to the sex trafficking stuff? Where's the racketeering? Where's all these things? That is coming. There's a reason why they got Cassie first. There's a reason why they're trying to get that out the way so they can focus on the real, because this is showing evidence. This is evidence. You just aren't listening to it. So when after this is done, they're going to get to the more direct evidence, because in this type of stuff, it's still sex trafficking. You are not going to be able to just go and just basically traffic escorts, male or female, across state lines and out of the country, back and forth, peddling drugs and having sex everywhere for money and all type of things. And okay, let's not forget about the abuse and the recording everybody and using it as blackmail. All of that, I want to see the defense try to argue against. That's why I'm ready for the Cassie part to get over, because I know what they're going to focus on with the Cassie. They're going to try to paint her as somebody that was in love, or somebody that just wanted the money, or bitter and scorned. It's clear as day. I want to see what their arguments are going to be for the other stuff. When the other witnesses come, when the other type of evidence they have, the indictment was not a small piece of paper. Like, there was plenty of things worthy of being argued and spoken on. So I know they're trying to stall this Cassie thing, because most likely Cassie was supposed to be out because she's pregnant. She had a heart release. I forgot. I think that's what it's termed as. She was supposed to be done by Friday and out of there, but defense is stalling and still asking questions. I'm not sure what their strategy is here. I don't know if they're just trying to keep her on the stand as long as possible so they can ask as much questions, because even the judge was like trying to figure out what is going on. When are we going to wrap this up? Even the judge was looking at it like, hey, dude, like, at this rate, she's going to be up here next week still doing cross-examination because you guys are questioning so long. And it wasn't so much that they was questioning for a long time, because as you can see, prosecution had 2 days basically. Their questionings are so irrelevant to her. It seems like they're just asking questions just to be asking them. When they asked about the whole, was there drugs in the baby oil? Okay, what does that have to do with her? Unless she was the one that, you have evidence that she was the one that put it in there, or she said that doesn't pertain to her. That's just a random question that you're asking just at this point. You know what I mean? Like, examples like that, when you're just asking stuff just to be asking it, or like the defense wanted to keep going in on her past, because I think they're trying to paint her as a gold digger or as an opportunist, because they kept going into Ryan Leslie and her timing in the beginning of her career. And I see how they're basically trying to say, like, you was trying to get a career out of being with him and you was willing to do everything that it take to get it. And because it didn't go your way, you're blaming him. I'm not sure if they're spinning it that way, or if they're spinning it as you're a scoring lover, or they're going to do a little bit of both. But it seems like this is what they're going to be arguing mainly about. I thought they were going to be a little bit more harsher. They were harsh, but not as harsh as I thought. Like, I thought they were going to be a little bit more like going in on her. They may be going to do that later tomorrow, most likely. Maybe they're saving that for the big guns. I did see that they hit her with the, you ruined his career. Was that really what you wanted to do? You know, kind of thing, bringing up the settlement and the money. And just really honing in on that. The stuff that I found disgusting and distasteful that they were doing was not just the fact that they were bringing up text messages. They were bringing up conversations she was having where she was basically like, "You're my husband. I do this for you. I love you. Everything is amazing to me. I love these freak offs. They're integral. These matter to us. This is how we bond." Basically, just putting her in the light that you are enjoying this. That's what they're trying to paint, which they should as the defense. That would be the argument that you would make to somebody saying that they're not happy enjoying something. You'll argue, well, let me show you how they are happy with that. Problem I have with that is the way they have to paint it, and that's why I could never be a defense attorney. If I was ever an attorney, I have to be a prosecutor. Sorry. They have to come up with some. They have to ignore a lot of the common sense a lot of the time. So when they make arguments, it's like, okay, yes, that's valid, but are you for real? Like, they bypass all the abuse and be like, okay, so you decided to stay around and you did this and you did that. And I'm like, yes, they did, because textbook wise, that's what happens. This is not some new phenomenon that has never happened. This is not the first. This is not the first Diddy and Cassie in even just the mainstream media. They're already being compared to Tina and Ike and Whitney and Bobby. They're already being compared to these type of people and stuff, that toxic relationship that we've seen in the media. This one was a little bit more extreme because there's some more nuances here. You know what I mean? They didn't ask a lot of questions about Kid Cudi. Why y'all didn't ask about that? Why y'all didn't ask about the rape that she talked about? Or why didn't you ask about the urination of it all? Or just stuff like that. I'm ready for them to ask other questions because I would love to see the defense ask, I want to see what else they're gonna get into. Because right now, they're just focusing on the relationship aspect, which is cool. But a lot of that is kind of like obvious. Yeah, we knew she loved him, clearly. That's not what we're arguing here. Nobody's saying she never loved him. She's saying that he used love as a means to traffic her. And the abuse and controlling ways that conditioned her to know to just cooperate and get along to get along. It's very simple. It's very simple. Very simple. I get it clear as day. But I know the defense has to argue what they have to argue. I think they're being a little tricky. They're being some tricksters. Because the fact that y'all had till April 27th to get certain evidence in, for example, the text messages, and you decide the night before you question the witness that you wanted all of a sudden decide to get all these pages of text messages so you could just randomly pull them out. And Cassie, like I said, she's a badass and a bad bitch. She was smart enough to know, hold on, let me get some time to look over these text messages so I could familiarize myself with it. Because like she said, some of these, she was high. When they were asking her about certain questions, they're like, why don't you remember some of this? She was like, I probably was high when I wrote those. They spoke about a lot of the drug addiction. And the way they tried to make it look was like, oh, you guys did the drugs together. But y'all have to look at it this way, because this is when grooming comes into play. When you're introduced to drugs, you're introduced to a certain lifestyle, and you're doing it that often. Yeah, she was an addict, and we can't blame her for being an addict when it was introduced to her as a means to keep him. Like, let's cut the shit. Like, I couldn't be a neutral party in this if I wanted to. I'm sorry, y'all. Diddy guilty. People that feel he's not guilty. It's just how we have to. All we have to do is just pray that nobody doubts it. You know what I mean? Like, he's guilty, and we just have to make sure that the prosecution don't drop the ball when it comes to proving it, because most people in that audience is just looking for a reason to see that he's guilty. I mean, as you're hearing the stories, you're just waiting for, okay, let me just get a good enough reason to just say, okay, guilty. That's what the juror is waiting for. Like, they may not all be sold as of yet, but I bet 100% that it just take a little bit more information, and they'll be sold. They just want to see all the other stuff. They want to see how it's racketeering a little bit more, and they want to see how it's a little bit more sex trafficking. And they're going to get into all that. They are. It's just the defense wants to focus on the relationship. If you ask me, the prosecution already was getting the ball rolling on their case, which is what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to lead the narrative, and the defense is supposed to respond to it. They're reactionary. It all makes sense. But, yeah, that was day 4 or day 3, however you want to look at it. Chaos down here, Tom. And I'm telling you, I'm at work, literally watching this at work like, oh, shit. It's going down. That is literally what I'm doing the whole time. I'm literally in between my calls or in between on my breaks, looking over at Instagram or looking over at Twitter, watching this Inner City Press, or live streaming with Law and Crime Network, or live streaming with Fox or CNN or DJ Academics, Court TV. I'm keeping track of everybody. Nancy Grace, everybody that is speaking on this, I am tuned in, and I will stay tuned in, and I'll be back again to discuss the next day of this trial of the century. And on that note, that's going to be the end of Live with Robbie.